Alright, we're going to be discussing the cards which I think will be quite good in the format since now the new pack has come out, Blessings of Nature, and I think it's kind of important where masterduel is heading at right now because it is a best of one. So a lot of cards might feel like, okay, it could be overpowered, but only time will tell. And I think this is where most people will think, oh, this is a good card, that's a good card. Now, what you see on the screen now, this is some of the cards that people are going to be running. If I miss any more cards, please let me know in the comments. But this is just my feeling on how, based on what I've played, and this is what I think most people are going to be gearing towards in the next format. So without me wasting any further time, let's just wrap it up. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Winged Dragon of Ra Spear mode. It requires 3 tributes, and ideally you'll be tributing your opponent's monsters on their field. Now, one thing about that, if they have any effects being sent to the graveyard by card effect, it's not a card effect, it is a cost. So you're tributing the monster, so there's no effect going to be activated. And that's going to be pretty much all said and done. So that's why people run Spear mode. Probably much over Lava Golem, because Lava Golem says you cannot normal summon the turn you special summon this card. But for most people, they don't normal summon at all. So it's just a special summon. So we'll just see how that goes. But I think it will be fine. Then another one will be Dimension Shifter. Now, this is a pretty good card if you have a deck that basically doesn't rely on the graveyard. So if you are Flanderies, Exo Sister, I think these decks are going to be running this. I believe it's at 2. I think most people underestimate how powerful this card is because it basically locks you out of your graveyard for 2 turns. So if you're going second, you play it on the opponent's turn, they basically cannot play the graveyard at all. Unless they're not a graveyard strategy, and that's pretty awesome there. So Dimension Shifter, if your deck can play it, definitely run it as a good hand trap. Then it's a no-brainer, right? These user cards, the stuff that made everything kind of broken recently. I've definitely been enjoying the user card. I guess it's a nice addition to the game in the sense of there's a lot of variety of decks that are playing it. But I think now with the new support coming out, I think it will really benefit. And it's Earth Fairy, Kalbeck, pretty simple, mills 5. And if you have Exchange set in the graveyard, you can set a trap from your graveyard, any trap, which is nice. And also it's a hand trap as well, because if any card sent from the hand or main deck to your opponent's graveyard, you can target that special summon monster and return it to the hand. So pretty awesome. And it doesn't trigger any graveyard effects because it's going to go back to the deck or the extra deck. Then the same with Medora. Medora is the same, where it's going to be, you know, your Miller, but nicely you can discard an Earth Fairy monster, special summon from the hand, and place a Great Chief's Scrap. So I think that's fairly obvious, right? That's where everyone's going to be going. Pretty good card, no need to explain that one. Same with Yugioh, another Miller, and it can mill potentially up to 10 cards, which is crazy just on its own, and that's mental. So yeah, that's another good card that people will be running. So if you're a person that doesn't have any milling to be dealing in your decks, then at least you can play the shufflers, which is Medora and Haldo. But if you need a strategy where your deck involves milling and activating cards in the graveyard, then I think you need to include the milling of Yugioh and Kalbeck. So if you have those cards, just run them in. But if you don't, I think the shufflers are pretty much good enough to be in any deck. Then we have Beast King of the Swamp and King of the Swamp. So why are these decks going to be running this? Well, remember, if Tearlament's going to be out for a long time, everyone's going to be focusing on Kid Kalos, right? Kid Kalos is a limited to 1, and if it gets banned at some point, or even if it doesn't, this is also a good replacement for Kid Kalos. And it's a nice little benefit because it substitutes any one fusion material whose name specifically listed on it. So if you're playing branded version, or if you're playing any monster that lists a specific fusion monster or a name, King of the Swamp or Beast King is actually pretty cool. And Beast King is a rare, whereas King of the Swamp is a super rare. So it's actually not that bad. And King of the Swamp can search power memorization, discarded, search power memorization, so better hand trap. And then yeah, that's pretty good. So that's cards that people will be running. If you see that, you'll understand why. Then Ghost Bell. I mean, her effect is pretty awesome. Adds a card from deck to graveyard or extra deck. Special summon a monster card from the graveyard or banish a card from the graveyard, pretty much negated. That's straight up. So that's there. And Maxi, I think we all know Maxi how it is. The game is fair and balanced because Maxi is in the game. I think it puts people in check, but for most people, they don't care about Maxi. Unless you are playing on your opponent's turn and then you activate Maxi. Hopefully they don't, if they counter it, then yes. But Maxi, I think, will be in most people's decks still. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Then Kurikara. Well, I made a video on it recently, and I must say Kurikara is deadly. I think especially now when your opponent's going to be playing on your turn most of the time, I think Kurikara is going to be one of the devastating forces. Even if it's distributing 1 or 2 monsters, it's still good. It's got a good effect. It doesn't activate any effects when sent to the graveyard when you tribute the monsters. It gains attack on your field, and you can target one of their monsters. I think that's pretty awesome as a fair trade. So if you see Kurikara, maybe that's why people are running it, because it's just that broken. Then DD Crow. Oh boy, DD Crow is going to be insane. DD Crow is, it's such a simple effect, but it's not once per turn, which is just like how Effect Veiler was. And you're probably wondering, oh, Effect Veiler is not here, Ash Blossom not here. No, they're pretty good, but I think now, since that Tearlament's coming out, I think you'll see this card more, DD Crow, in more popularity. Quick effect, discard this card, target any card in the opponent's graveyard, banish the target. Very simple. So it stops fusion summoning, it stops key core cards being reborn or revived, you know, or before certain plays happen. It's pretty awesome. It's a good card. Instant Fusion. Well, Instant Fusion is still not banned. So guess what? Kid Kalos is an easy 1-card starter. Now it literally starts your combos, or if everything falls through, it can just be an extender as well. So getting out Kid Kalos is pretty awesome. So Instant Fusion, if you haven't crafted it, it's only crafted but 1. Then there you go. Then Triple Tactics Talon. Now this is an interesting one, because if you follow the OCG and TCG, they actually use this a lot. And what does this card do? Well, basically, if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase, so basically on your turn, you can either draw 2 cards, take control of your opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose from it and shuffle into the deck. Well, the nice thing is it's very versatile. So if you're able to draw 2 from your opponent because they use an Ash Blossom or even a Havness activates from hand, that starts basically their combo, so that's also good. So pretty interesting there. So I think it's a good card. Will I be running it? I don't know. We'll see. Then Foolish Burial Goods. Send 1 spell trap from your graveyard. Now there's a lot of targets you can search. Now you'll see I put there also the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. That's a good target. Why? Because if you can have a Crystal Beast monster searchable, you can also add any field spell in the game. And Pellerino is at 1. The field spell is at 1, so if you play Tearlament and you want to play budget to search your field spell if you don't have Terraforming, you can actually run Rainbow Bridge of Salvation plus Emerald Turtle, and you can basically search any field spell to your hand, and you can add it together. But remember, if you hard draw it, then it's really not going to work. So people will say, oh, do you run 2 copies or whatever? Well, I think that depends on how you're deck building, but yeah, I think we know that's a pretty good option for that. And also you can send also other targets as well. Any specific trap you need, maybe a trap, maybe a spell that has an effect when it's sent to the graveyard. So I know the Tearlament cards, when they're sent to the graveyard by a card effect, they trigger something, either add a monster, add a trap, so it's pretty good. Dark Hole. Well, Dark Hole is Dark Hole. Destroy a monster on the field. Pretty simple, right? Could it be okay? Yeah, it's alright, but we'll see what happens. Cosmic Cyclone. I think everyone was playing this, and I think now more people are going to be playing it now since the field spell is at 1. So if you get rid of the field spell, they'll not be popping cards in your field every turn. So I think that would be a great investment to go into Cosmic Cyclone. And it's an SR, so it's not bad. Then same with Cold by the Grave. I think people have already been playing Cold by the Grave, but now it'll be more popular than before. And then Super Poly. So Super Poly is now unlimited to 3, but just be careful, because if you're playing against Tearlament and you use Super Poly, they're going to be sent to the graveyard by a card effect. So just be mindful of that. Yes, you can out their board, but yeah, it's um, kind of a downside. So just be careful if you're gonna use for poly. Just know that if you do send their cards to the graveyard, it is sent by a card effect. So that could be the issue there, but we'll see what happens. Then, Dimensional Fissure. Any monster sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Now this is also good, again, in strategies that don't really rely on the graveyard, or monsters that don't really care. So who does that? Fluandereeze. I think you saw the video I made now about Master Duel Clash, where I played against Medolce, and you saw how powerful it is. It doesn't really care about the graveyard because all your monsters get banished anyway when he leaves the field, so it's a pretty good counter for them. So even if they're in the Biru and all that stuff, their monsters get sent away to the banish zone. So if they don't have any out for it, then it's pretty broken. Then Infinite Impermanence, I think this is a no-brainer here. Infinite Impermanence is just one of the best hand traps in the game. It's very versatile, stops your opponents from doing things, and yeah, it's just very versatile overall. Evenly Matched. Oh boy. Evenly Matched, I think I need to explain it to you guys, because a lot of you probably wondering, like, what does this card actually do? Like, this card, I think it's actually so broken that people don't understand what it does, and I think it tells how good it is. So it basically says, if your opponent controls more cards than you do, which is always the case, you can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down, so they control the same number of cards as you do. If you control no cards, then you can activate this card from your hand. Now, this is normally what you would do. You would have no cards on the field. You activate it from the hand. Now, if the opponent can read it correctly, they basically will only have one card left on the field. Unless they have a token, tokens cannot be banished. Then pretty much all will be removed except for the token. But now, if the opponent decides to banish the Evenly Matched and destroy it in the chain, then what happens when the chain resolves? There's going to be 0 cards on my side, so therefore the opponent has to banish everything. So one thing to take note of, when it comes to Evenly Matched, do not destroy or banish it. You let it resolve and you keep 1 card on the field. Simple as that. That's all. So I'll leave it at there, but that's also a pretty good card people are going to be running. Dimensional Barrier. Well, declare 1 monster card type, fusion, ritual, synchro, exceeds, or pendulum. And for the rest of the turn, neither player can special summon their monsters for the declared type and also negate the effects of all monsters of that type. Now, this is a very good card for trap decks who don't really care about extra deck a lot. So your Labyrinth, pretty good. Even if you play Link. So I know I played it in my Marincess build, and it came up pretty often, I would say. It actually shut down most combos, and normally, unless they have a lightning storm beforehand or whatever, if you call it right, they basically cannot play their game. So if you call fusion, guess what? No fusioning. So, but yeah, not just good for Tearlament, actually good all around. So if you just play links or you don't really care about extra deck, Dimensional Barrier is a good one. So, and the nice thing about Labyrinth, if you play it, it's also you can actually put it back into your spell and trap zone after using it. So it's pretty awesome. And then Goes a Match. I think Goes a Match is a floodgate for a reason. It basically says you can only control 1 attribute of monsters. So again, if your deck is playing a variety of attributes, guess what? This will say no, you can only control 1. So be very careful when and how to use this, because can be conflicting with maybe Tearlament, because it's dark and water monsters normally. So that could be conflicting. So you can put them in check, or if they run other attributes, they'll say no, you can only run 1 attribute. And again, not just for Tearlament, I think for merge decks, if you're playing variety of attributes, then this will put you in check. Then there's also another one, which I don't think is on here, but I'll think about it if I can get to it. But if I'm missing some cards here, don't worry, it happens. I was just thinking up now what cards could be good, so in this next format. So please do not put me in the comments saying, oh, you forgot this card. I want to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking about this card? Did I miss something? Are there any other cards that I don't know about? Of course, there are some spicy techs that people are running in their decks, but maybe that will be in the future video, where if I go through certain deck lists, you'll see, oh, you didn't speak about this card, but that card also good. We'll see. Then Mud Dragon. I mean, did I say more? Mud Dragon. Unfortunately, we didn't get Gorura. which is the other monster that is there. I'll put a picture of it. Basically, it says you can draw one card when it gets sent to the graveyard, but basically it also is a nice super poly target. And I think this card will be rising in popularity. If your deck can make this Abyss Dweller, 2 level 4 monsters, that's pretty easy, right? The first effect, okay, not so much. The second effect though, once per turn, quick effect, detach 1 material. Your opponent cannot activate card effects in the graveyard this turn. So guess what? No fusing, no milling, nothing. If they're playing the mirror match, this is the game changer. But yeah, that's all from me now on this. What cards I think is going to be great in this format. Like I said, if I miss anything, I apologize. Please let me know. Stay tuned for an in-depth guide video where I'll be going through some of the new archetypes, which is Tearlament and Verniself. And Verniself and Tearlament, those will be the new ones. And if there's any other cards that I'll see in the pack that I'll just do maybe some tips or a quick guide on, let me know. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to also update the decks I've been playing before and to show you how I'll be adapting to this new format. So yeah, guys, I think that will be it from my side. Yeah, stay tuned. And please check this video out for my pack opening, which I did. So I'll leave the link in the description below for the pack opening for Blessings of Nature. And yeah, I hope you guys get lucky. And yeah, let's do this. Thank you.